Hi, everyone. Thank you and welcome to our Copilot series. We are in the second of our three-part series. I'm John Cooper. I'm the CEO of Total Secure Technology. We are our client's complete IT department. In our first session, we focused on Copilot basics. And in this session, we're going to focus on some intermediate steps to take your Copilot knowledge to the next level. We're going to look at some real world ways to use Copilot in Teams, Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get started here. Just briefly, a little bit about Total Secure Technology. We are our client's complete IT department. We provide our clients with managed IT support, managed IT security, and managed IT projects. We've been doing business throughout the West region of the United States since 1999. We help many professional service companies manage IT successfully. What do we mean by professional services? We mean engineering firms, architects, financial service professionals, CFPs and RIAs, CPAs, and many companies in the construction industry. So for today's agenda, basically, we're just going to do a quick recap of what we talked about in basics, in the basics webinar, just enough to anchor things, but not be repetitive in what we talked about last time. We're going to talk about what I call better prompts, how to ask Copilot for what you want so you spend less time editing and more time using the results. We'll walk through some intermediate scenarios in Teams, Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. These are not crazy advanced tricks. They're realistic workflows that can help you, that you can start using immediately. And we're going to wrap it up with some role-based Copilot playbooks is how we'll wrap up this session. All right. So just to position the big picture, basically part one was a Copilot basics. What that was about was understanding what Copilot is and where you find it in Teams, Word, Excel, PowerPoint. In this part two, we're going to talk about Copilot Intermediate, basically with better workflows and playbooks and better prompts. And then in Advanced, which is scheduled for sometime in January, we're going to be talking about how to get some real results out of Microsoft Copilot. Let's see. So let me do a quick 30,000 foot recap of Copilot. It's Copilot isn't a separate app. It's that runs in the corner somewhere. It's built right into Microsoft 365. That means it lives right where you already work in Teams, Outlook, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and so on. Second, Copilot is especially good at a few key things: summarizing long emails, chats, meetings, and documents, producing fast first drafts, email proposals, reports, and quick slideshows. So doing simple analysis of data that already lives in Excel. Patterns we emphasize in the basic session was you ask Copilot in plain English, and Copilot drafts, and you review and decide whether you want to use what it produced. And importantly, Copilot works within your existing Microsoft Copilot permissions and security structure. So whatever security you already have built into Microsoft Copilot, with your tenancy, with how it's set up, those are the permissions that Microsoft Copilot is using to produce the results that it produces for you. So we're not starting from zero today. You already know a little bit about Copilot. Now we're going to turn that knowledge into some real workflows. One of the biggest differences between basic and intermediate use of Copilot is how you ask for things. A lot of people use very simple prompts, like write an email about a new security service. Copilot will give you something, but it's pretty generic. You end up spending a lot of extra time editing it into something usable. A better prompt for immediate use or for intermediate use of Microsoft Copilot is something more like this. Write a 3-paragraph email to existing clients about how our new security service, in a clear and reassuring tone, highlight 3 key benefits, and end with a simple call to action to schedule a call with us. So basically that prompt, it's the same idea, right? We're announcing a new security service, but now we've told Copilot who the audience is, what the objective is, and what tone we want, and roughly how long we want the communication to be. So I like to teach this in a simple pattern, right? Basically, audience, objective, tone, and length. So if you include those 4 things in your prompt, your results are going to start moving from okay to actually pretty good. And that's a big part of what we mean by intermediate use of Copilot. It's really how thorough the prompts are so that you get to usable outputs with much less editing, right? That's what we're looking for. It to do some really heavy lifting. So let's use a real world scenario. I'm going to exit out of my PowerPoint here, and I'm going to get into our Teams application. So you can see here that I'm in Teams, and I've hit the Copilot prompt here. So if you want maybe a more familiar look of Teams, right? These are all the chats, right? You also have a Teams calendar that you can, that's built into Teams. But what I've done is I've clicked on Microsoft Copilot in the Teams application, okay? So, and I'm going to give Microsoft Copilot within this Teams app a very specific prompt. And I'm going to copy and paste it here so I don't have to type it out. So copy, Control V. Okay, so this is what I'm asking Copilot to do for me. Please give me the recap of the last 6 meetings, 6 leadership meetings, and provide all the to-dos for each person individually. Please highlight the common themes and obstacles that we are running into as a team. Look for the tone and the demeanor in the meetings and suggest ways to improve overall team health. Okay, so I'm going to click go. And basically, Copilot's going to look through well, it's going to look through the last 6 recorded Teams meetings. In my practice session, it told me that it had access to the last 86 recorded Teams meetings. So we've had a leadership meeting in our organization, not necessarily a Teams meeting. We started recording Teams meetings probably about 86 meetings ago, but we've had a religious leadership meeting cadence in the organization for the past 11 years. So right now, Copilot is thinking, and it's basically going through the data that we asked it to go through, and it's going to come back with an answer here in a second. Came back with a pretty good answer for me last time, so I'm hoping for a good answer here for this demo. And while it's pulling that together, right, there's 3 different ways that Copilot can look for data. It can be on auto. Basically, it decides how long to think. You can ask it for a quick response, or you can ask it for deeper thinking. You can also have it look out on the web, but we're not going to do that because the data that we're looking for lives right here in our SharePoint, lives in our Teams application. And then you can also basically tell it to use ChatGPT. So Copilot is basically leveraging ChatGPT 5. So, and I think it's up to 5.3 right now. So that's what Microsoft Copilot leverages for its large language model. Okay, so basically what Copilot just told me is that it found 87 leadership meetings that were on our calendar, and that it's focused on the last 6 and pulled a recap of all the action items, to-dos, by each person, common themes and obstacles, and an observation on the tone and team health with concrete recommendations. Okay, so that's what I asked it for. If you want to go back up and read the prompt, or if we want to read the prompt, right? Demeanor was spelled incorrectly, but it figured it out. And this is what it came up with, right? So last Friday, here's a few of the topics that were talked about in the December 5th, right? One of the leaders in the organization who normally is in charge of getting the recording set up wasn't here, so that meeting didn't get recorded, although it happened, right? So the annual planning post-mortem is what was talked about on Friday, November 21st, and basically it's done what I asked it to do. It's organized the to-dos for each person, and it's basically giving me what it was that I was looking for. So cross-meeting themes and obstacles. It's basically telling me things to be on the lookout for. It's talking about the tone. It was candid, self-reflecting, healthy conflict acknowledged, but intensity is high. Sorry. And the recommendations to improve the overall health, right? It's going to give me some recommendations here. So you can see here that that's pretty good information, right? Across a theme, right? We're looking for a theme across the last 6 meetings. So that's one of the ways that we can use a better prompt in Teams to get a better result from, and we can look back over a period of time. It's not just a recap of one meeting, which is what we did in the Copilot Basics webinar, right? We recapped one meeting that we had. So this is a better scenario for looking back over a period of time and looking at team health, because we gave it a better prompt, right? Anyways, that's what we got with for the team scenario. So some other Teams prompts that you might want to give it, right, is you can ask it to summarize the last 3 leadership meetings, or you can ask it a list of action items from these meetings with the owners and due dates, if mentioned. Draft a short Teams post summarizing the decisions and the next steps for the leadership channel, if you happen to have a leadership channel in your teams. Draft a follow-up email to the team, recapping the key decisions and who owns what. Okay, so those are some better prompts for Microsoft Teams Copilot engagement. Moving right along. So here's a look at how we can use Word and PowerPoint. Basically, in this scenario, we're going to start in Word and we're going to end with a short PowerPoint presentation. Okay. The scenario is you've got a long internal client document, maybe internal or client document. Maybe it's a 5 to 10 page document or proposal or a project plan or a security assessment. And what we want to do is we're going to turn that longer document into an executive summary, okay? And then I'm going to take that executive summary and I'm going to ask Copilot to also create a PowerPoint presentation that can be presented at the next all hands meeting, okay? So, so without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get into that. I have the document that I want to use up, so I'm going to go to that. So this is a sample sales process, okay? So, and we're going to use this for a sales meeting that we're going to do, but I'm going to give Copilot a prompt. Got to find the prompt here. Here it is. Copy, Control E. So the prompt is create an executive summary out of this document that a CEO can read in 1 or 2 minutes. All right. And I'm going to click enter. And Copilot's going to do its thinking. And just for the sake of time, because I didn't know how long each prompt might take while we were on the live demo, I've gone ahead and I already have that executive summary created. So I'm going to pull it up and basically this is what it came up with. So it took a much longer, this is a 7-page document, okay? It took a much longer 7-page document and it has condensed it down to, excuse me, it's condensed it down to a 2-page document, okay? So the executive summary of our sales process is listed here. So now what I'd like to do is I'd like to use this executive summary to create a PowerPoint presentation that I can use at our next all hands meeting to talk about the importance of us executing on our internal sales process when we have a prospective client. So basically what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to open up PowerPoint. I'm going to open up this one. Okay. And I'm going to give PowerPoint that document, that executive summary. I'm really lucky here because I have all this pointed in the right direction right now. So for the sake of time, I'm going to give it that executive summary. It says it's in use. I got to close it here. Okay, so I'm going to give PowerPoint that executive summary, and then I'm also going to give it this prompt. Copy, Control V. And again, for the sake of time, so this prompt says, please use this Word document. And again, this doesn't have to be a super sophisticated prompt because it's a pretty detailed executive summary of our sales process, okay? So I don't have to give it a detailed prompt. I'm asking it, please use this Word document to create a short PowerPoint deck, okay? So, and for the sake of time, basically it's going to ask me, are you okay with these 8 slides? I think it was about 8. Maybe it was more. Okay, so it looks like it was about 9. And it's going to ask me, are you okay with these slides, the way that they are laid out? And just for the sake of time, I'm going to tell it yes. And I'm going to open the PowerPoint deck that it created. It's right here. Basically, it took that executive summary document and it created a somewhat detailed PowerPoint presentation that can be presented at the next sales meeting, at the next all hands meeting. We can edit it if you want. You can put your company colors on it, right? You click design and we could lay it out in our company colors. We can put it on templated slides, but you get my point. It's a pretty detailed PowerPoint presentation. I'm not going to play it. I'm not going to play it in slideshow mode just because I don't think that that's necessary for this particular lesson today. But you can see here that it's a very detailed little PowerPoint presentation that it created off of that executive summary that we took an 8-page document, condensed it down to an executive summary, and then turned that executive summary into a PowerPoint presentation. So anyways, I'm going to close this. Don't save. I'm going to close this. And I'm also going to restart my slideshow over here from the current slide. So a couple of other prompts that you can give Word and PowerPoint, right, is you can summarize this 5-page document into a 1-page executive summary for non-technical leaders, right? You're giving it more context. You're giving PowerPoint better prompts, and that's what this intermediate PowerPoint webinar is about, right? Is about giving Copilot better prompts so that it gives you more concise information without bringing back generic results. Another example prompt would be create an 8-slide presentation for this summary with problems, risks, recommendations, and next steps. Or shorten the bullets on this slide and leave more space for me to speak. So once you've got the PowerPoint up, right, you can use Copilot to ask it to change the slides. I'm going to give you an example of that right now, okay? So all of these slides were created using, I better drag this over here temporarily. All of these slides were created using Microsoft Copilot, right? The graphics, all of the slides originally looked like this, okay? I'm going to kill the prompts that were in there before. I'm going to go up to my original prompt and I just want to articulate here how Copilot can give you better looking slides. I just need to find my prompt here. Oh, it's at the bottom. There it is. Okay. I got the prompt. Copy. So I'm going to give Copilot some very explicit instructions right now. And I need to change that to slide 18 because we're on slide 18. So this was a slide that was up above, okay? And I'm going to ask Copilot to basically give me an image that I can drop on top of this slide. So it's reviewing the data. Basically what the prompt says was redo this slide 18, keeping with the theme of the slides. TST company font, trebuchet, and we do not want to deviate from that font in this entire presentation file. I want you to create an image that that can be dropped on top of this slide as a replacement to the entire slide. Recreate the entire slide as an image. So I was very detailed because I needed to be. So you can see here that it's creating an image that I can then drop on top of that slide. And I'm going to go into this presentation a little bit more. So these are the types of things. So the prompts that I was reading a minute ago, you can tell Copilot, hey, I want the slide to look like this, or I want the slide to look like that. But you can see here, it's creating an image, okay? So I'm going to copy that image, and then I'm going to paste it. That's not what I wanted to do. I'm going to copy this image, and I'm going to paste it. Okay, so now all I have to do is center it, right? All I have to do is center this slide. And basically, that's how all of these slides were created. I got to find my place. We were doing this slide right here. So all these slides looked like this in the beginning, okay? And I asked it to basically give me a slide based on the theme of the presentation that I was doing, and it created all those so that it looks a little cleaner than just blank or PowerPoint slides that didn't have much pizzazz to them. Okay, so I'm going to play from the current slide. Okay, so back to our prompt. So I was explaining, you know, you can tell Microsoft Copilot to change things on each one of your slides, and that was an example of what Copilot can do. Okay, so moving right along. Okay, so how to use intermediate prompts in Microsoft Excel. I have some Excel data Basically, the problem is that not everyone is an Excel power user. Actually, most people are not Excel power users. Most people basically can read PowerPoint data, or can read a spreadsheet, but can't produce the results that created the spreadsheet, right? Most people are not power users within Microsoft Excel. There probably are some out there, but most people are not. I am not. At an intermediate level, we're not asking you to build complex models, right? We're using Copilot to explain the trends in data in plain English, call out outliers and underperformance, help you build a story that you can share in your next meeting. So with that information, I'm going to, again, exit my PowerPoint presentation here. I have an Excel spreadsheet pulled up, and I have a prompt that I'm going to give it, okay? So I'm giving it a more thorough prompt. In my last presentation that I did in the Copilot's Basic, I gave it a very simple prompt. I said, analyze the data, right? And show me some trends. I'm giving it a much more specific prompt this time, okay? This is basically the same dummy sales data that I used last time. So I'm going to click. So the prompt says, analyze this data and summarize it for trends for a business owner. Also create a narrative for our upcoming sales meeting with the CEO being present. Illustrate, spelled wrong, the trends in a way that the CEO will appreciate. Okay, so doesn't matter if it's spelled wrong. Copilot smarter than the prompter. So, okay, so it's analyzing this data in this spreadsheet. And basically this was a dummy spreadsheet, and it was sales data for 12 months for a 4-region company. So it's analyzing, it's reasoning. And again, it's not going out to the web, right? It's using our SharePoint data. It's actually just using this document, but and it's going to give me an answer very similar to what it was that I was looking for here in a second. Okay, so top 3 business trends, a CEO's view. International is your growth and volume engine. East is your premium margin play. Across the year, international leads total revenue, right? So you can easily take this summary and ask it, hey, you can copy and paste that summary into a Word document, use that Word document to create another PowerPoint for the next sales meeting, right? So, and I've kind of showed you how to do that already. So you can take this executive summary that it's going to give you on this Excel data. It's even giving you some charts over here that you can drop into your PowerPoint presentation, right? And it's giving you a narrative based on what it is that it sees in the data. And it could easily create a pretty comprehensive PowerPoint slideshow for your next sales meeting, leadership meeting, board meeting, or what have you. Okay, I'm going to get back into the PowerPoint presentation, play from the current slide here. Okay, we're back in. And so those were some of the intermediate prompts that you can give Copilot. Some more example prompts is which regions or products are underperforming versus the average. create a column or chart showing total revenue by region, draft 3 key talking points I can use to explain the trends to leadership, right? So there's a lot of different ways that you can use Copilot to produce a narrative for whoever the audience is. All right, so that was the Excel example. So up to this point, we've just been looking at individual workflows. Now I want to zoom in and talk about playbooks, okay? So a Copilot playbook is simply a short list of high-value prompts and workflows for a specific role. For example, right, you might have a sales department, or you might have a service desk, right? We have a service department in our organization. We have a one-person operations department. We have HR. We have finance. We have leadership. So basically, what you want to do when you're creating a Microsoft playbook, right, for each role is you want to define 3 to 5 high-value scenarios that those departments repeat all the time. A couple of standard prompts for each one of those scenarios that anybody can run. So what I've noticed, right, what I've noticed in my role, I'm a little critical, right? I'm kind of a critical thinker, and you know, when somebody tells me that, hey, they put it into ChatGPT or they put it into Copilot and it didn't exactly give them what they wanted, my first thought is, did you give it a good prompt, right? Did you give it a thorough prompt? I want to ask, you know, what exactly did you tell Copilot to give you? So the idea behind creating Copilot playbooks is that you put some thought into the prompts that people probably should be thinking about using on a super regular basis for each department. And then you can put those standards, right? So we use in our organization, we use a documentation library called IT Glue, but you can easily store those documented prompts in a OneNote or SharePoint or in Teams, right? You can build a Teams wiki if you wanted to. And each one of those departments can have their own channel, and the people that work within those departments could have access to those repeatable prompts that are needed to drive the organization forward in a very efficient way. So let's maybe dive into what that looks like a little bit. So let me give you a simple way to get started with Copilot playbooks. You pick one team. We're not going to boil the ocean, okay? Maybe it's your sales team. Okay, let's just think about your sales team. So the first step is to pick a team. The second step is to list their repetitive tasks, things like meeting recaps, client follow-up emails, status reports. If we were talking about a different department, it might be ticket summaries or internal updates. And then in step 3, basically for each one of those tasks, we're going to create one simple, thorough, right, detailed prompt to test, and we start testing those prompts, right? You have to think about what's gonna get you, right? Pareto principle talks about the 80-20 rule, right? 20% of what you do gets you 80% of the way. So we want to start with those prompts that are going to have the best use of your that are going to get you further faster, right? We want to decide as a team maybe what those prompts will look like for each department. And then once you've got a small set that works for a particular department, you're going to publish that as a Copilot sales playbook version 1.1, right? That the team can leverage. So I've taken our sales department and I've created a playbook. I'm going to pull that up here. So bear with me here. Leadership playbook prompts. Nope, that's not the one I want. Okay, the sales playbook. That's the one I wanted to share. So I'm going to drag that over. So how to use. Paste a quick context block first, right? Paste one prompt. Sanity check the output against HubSpot, your SOPs, especially around report of findings scheduling, right? So, but here are some prompts that we are leveraging internally, right, to propel the sales team. Okay, and basically we've made this document available to the 3 people that are on our internal sales team, so that we can get some quick wins with Copilot or ChatGPT, right? So we're also leveraging this in ChatGPT. So, anyways, but these are quick prompts that everybody on the sales team can use for things that we do in a super repetitive way. All right, I'm going to get back into the presentation. So that's an example of Microsoft Copilot playbooks. And like we talked about, right? The steps are pick a team, and start figuring out what that team is doing on a super regular basis, and start documenting prompts around those problems or those repetitive tasks. All right. So next we're going to talk about some guardrails around Microsoft Copilot. We don't want to just let our team. We can't communicate to our team that they can be leveraging Copilot in an autopilot way, right? It's not called autopilot. It's called Copilot, and you have to vet what Copilot is giving you as a deliverable, right? Somebody has to put human eyes on it. Is this consistent with how our company does business? Is this information that I'm about to communicate, is it consistent with our company brand? Humans have to approve what Copilot is helping them generate, before it goes out for public consumption. You want to avoid putting sensitive data in prompts unless your company policy allows it. Everybody in your organization probably needs to sign an acceptable use policy around AI. We have a templated acceptable use policy that we can make available to anybody on this call. If you'd like that, you can lean into us. We're going to send a recap of this Copilot webinar with a recording. So if you want that playbook, simply reply back to it, and we can not the playbook, sorry, the acceptable use policy, right? The artificial intelligence acceptable use policy. Your team is probably going to be leveraging Copilot or ChatGPT or Gronk or Gemini, and you want to set up some framework on how you expect those tools to be used for your company, right? Sensitive company data should not go into a free version of ChatGPT. there's no guarantees that that data will not be used to train the model. When you pay for a version of ChatGPT or Gronk or Gemini, they're communicating that they're not using that data to train the large language model. So we just want to make sure that we put some guardrails around the use of Copilot or any artificial intelligence tool. And an acceptable use policy is a great place to start. Okay. So how can TST help you succeed? Well, you already know that we can serve as a complete IT department, right? Around that. But we can help you get ready with Copilot, right? We can do a Copilot readiness assessment with you. We can do a phased rollout. Maybe you're already licensed for Microsoft Copilot and with a few people and you want to roll it out to more of the team. We can help there. We can do role-based Copilot playbooks with you. We can give you some templates around that. And then ongoing support and governance and, ensuring that you're going to get an ROI. Copilot's not free, right? You want to make sure that you get an ROI on Microsoft Copilot or any artificial intelligence tool that you're leveraging. Okay. Well, I think that's about it. Just tell you we do have one more Microsoft Copilot advanced webinar that's part of this 3-webinar series. We're in the second, right? Check. We've done number 2. And next up, in probably towards the end of January, we're going to be looking at the advanced Copilot series, or the advanced Copilot, where we're going to be talking about more advanced prompts, designing expert level prompts and multi-step workflows, build reusable prompts and libraries for the team, and dialing in your brand voice, tone, and quality checks for Microsoft Copilot. All right, you guys, I super appreciate your time. Be on the lookout for the registration email for the third in this series, the third and final in this series. And I super appreciate your time. Brett, was there any questions?
No, not this session. Nothing came up there. Yep.
All right. Well, everybody, I super appreciate your time. If we can be of service, we will not make it hard to get a hold of us. All right. Thank you very much. And see you guys on the next webinar.